We would officially be starting with the national anthem. So please do us the honors of standing up and singing the national anthem with me.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria's home and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Thank you very much. It looks so beautiful seeing the security personnel, during. I'd like to recognize I'd like to start by recognizing some dignitaries in our presence today. Before I go ahead, I'd like to let everyone know that you are all dignitaries today. And just for the fact that you appreciate and showed up today makes you very important to us. So whether or not your names are mentioned, you are still a very important dignitary today. I'll start by recognizing Honorable Adebayo Balogun, the Chairman on Electoral Reform. Please, sir, just do like this. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you. Secondly, I would like to recognize High Chief Shola, Chairman, SPFUC. Please just do like this, sir. Kabi. I think they should have written Kabiesi here, I would know. I would also like to recognize Very Reverend Father Anselm Ologunwa. Welcome, sir. Sheikh Dr. Abdul Hakim Yayi Akorede. Okay, not here yet. Comrade Jonathan Obatola. Welcome, sir. A round of applause for him, please. I would like to also recognize DCC Yusuf Odunayo. Welcome, sir. DSE Daniel Damebo. Sir, did I call it well? Oh, thank God. I also like to recognize CP Naomi Iwo. Naomi Iwo. So sorry, sir. Welcome. CP Border Patrol. Okay, he's the CP Border Patrol. Okay. I didn't write this, so I can't really see his writing. I apologize in advance. Okay.
Thank you very much. We'll just go further by recognizing the DCC Yusuf Odunayo, Deputy Commandant, NSCDC. You are very welcome, sir. So I-Chief has been recognized. The AIG Abayomi Oladipo Peter, AIG Counterterrorism Unit, former Commissioner of Police Ondo State. You are very welcome. Madam Ene Obi. Is Madam Ene Obi here? You are very welcome. We would like to recognize the presence of Magdalene Lagu, the Head Governance and Stability, FCDO Nigeria. You are very welcome. That's our founder. Those are this FCDO is the reason why we are here today. They give us money. And that's why we do what we do today. We would like to welcome every one of you to this event. As other stakeholders come into the hall, we will continue to carry out the recognition. Once again, you are very welcome.
Thank you very much, Dan. We'll be moving next to the goodwill messages, and I'll be calling some of our wonderful dignitaries to come here and give us some of their goodwill messages. I'll be starting with Senior High Chief Shola Adegbomire. A round of applause for him, please.
You have to stay a little away from me so that I don't use my agbada to cover you. Good morning, dear participants, the organizers. I want to say that it's nice to be in Abuja. And if you look at my former CP, he's putting on red cap. If you look at my own crown, it's also. So when the man came here and started talking about security, I said, if I have go to my pocket and the now AIG is here, who can stop us? So we are all safe, I can assure you. God bless you. But let me start by saying I'm not going to go into any order, but let me say that the protocol that has been laid is observed, and I want to welcome you once again. I bring greetings from the KBC, DG of Akure, the Chairman, Council of Obas, Ondo State, and the rest of the traditional rulers in the state which I represent. And I want to say this, that it's good to have a conversation that we're going to be having here today, because if we didn't have good election in the state, we would not have been here. Probably we'll be going to court, we'll be having problems and all that. But above all, I want to say that what happened in those states, I don't know of Edo, but as a chairman, don't mind this microphone. When I have go to my pocket, the microphones sometimes they don't want to work because technology and go to sometimes they don't work together. So I want to tell you that the engagement that we had actually paid out very well. When our committee was formed, because if you know the history of Ondo State, I'm not saying that we are that bad, but it's just that sometimes violence can happen anywhere. And in 1983, it happened. After that, during the Agagu, Mimiko time too, it happened. But I'm proud to say, as the chairman of that peace committee, that we didn't have any casualty, we didn't have any death during that time. And so it's one of the good news that has gladdened our hearts. And this couldn't have been possible if we didn't have my brother here. Sometimes he will say, Eko oni baje. I say, Akurego oni baje. And remember, so I want to thank the CP, former CP, who is now AIG, for helping us out, because the synergy between the civil defense, the security agencies, that time actually paved way. Then I have a member of that committee here, the CAN chairman. We were able to draw from different areas. We had Nigerian Bar Association chairman, the NUJ chairman, the FOM1, the Muslim community. So we were able to look at how we are going to reach to them. And again, honestly, if not because of the town hall summit that we had radio town hall, we had a peace summit, it's actually helped. So I don't know how KDI, how they were able to put up all these programs, but honestly, I must thank them too, because for them to actually organize an event like that, to say, okay, let us have a committee that will come together, which I became the chairman. I don't know how they got me into it, but it went very well. And when we had a town hall radio program, people were asking questions. So we're able to reach a lot more people than before. The awareness that we created, we went to the 18 local government chairmen of Christian Association of Nigeria. We went to other, the market people, the Muslim community. We went to the traditional rulers, headed by the DG of Akure, who was able to, send out the information. And let us say it here again, so that whether we put all that together, if we didn't have the force behind it, the traditional rulers to say that, look, if anybody messes up, there's a way. And if we didn't have the security forces headed by the then CP Abayomi Peters, who came to say, look, come, if anybody messed up, that they will deal with that person. And I must give it to the governor, the then governor and now the governor of the state, Honorable Lucky Aiyedatiwa, His Excellency, for his cooperation too, because even when he was being asked to come and join other gubernatorial candidates, gladly he joined them, humbly he shook hands with them, and they were even eager to now, people were complaining before that, why was he giving special seat and all that stuff. So all these things I look at it, and that's why I said I want to thank, because it's an eye-opener to us in the state, that if we create awareness, that if you mess up, there's consequences, that if we don't perform very well, that there will be a negative result on the part of the state, of the people, and of the government. So this collaboration really helps us. And today, I don't know what other will be saying, but I just want to say that I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to tell you that Ondo State is the most peaceful state in the country. And so if you want to invest, come. If you want another election to happen, there will be no problem. There's always Betu, and there's CP Abayomi, now AIG here. God bless you, real good.
Thank you very much, High Chief, for that. We'll just go quickly into recognizing more dignitaries. In no particular order, I want to recognize Dr. Charles Omole. Thank you very much for coming. Professor Adewale Aderemi, the Director, Democracy and Governance Needs. Kimaris Too Good, United Nations. Thank you very much for coming. Before we take the goodwill message from the most senior police officer, before the IG, we'll just take more recognition. Dr. Joel Moses Yamu, the PPRO Edo State Police Command. Thank you very much for coming. Peter Agwebo, our state lead for Edo State, Obatola Jonathan. Thank you very much for coming. So we are going to take the goodwill message from the AIG, CTU Force Headquarters for the IG. That is AIG Abayomi Oladipo Peters. A round of applause for him, please.
Thank you very much. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol, but I haven't established that. I will not fail to establish the between international. The rep of the DG of Akure will continue to see you and see you being good. The honorable member of the House, I am here standing or wearing two caps. One representing the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, NPM, PhD, who is unavoidably absent here because of state matters. However, he has mandated me to welcome you people to Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, and also to thank the organizers of this event for helping the police to carry out its statutory responsibilities. Of course, if we had elections and we have no lessons learned, then there is a problem. But the lessons learned would help us and shape planning towards subsequent elections in the country. I want to, on behalf of the Inspector General of Police, wish us well and expect us to have a happy deliberations. You and God bless.
Thank you very much. That was short. It seems like the AG is aware that today is Friday, and our Muslim colleagues will be going to the mosque. Immediately we'll leave this place. Thank you very much for that short goodwill message on behalf of the IG. We'll just take more recognition. Solomon Idiogbe Orupe, a member of the Peace Committee, Edo State, thank you very much for coming. Reverend Father Ansem, thank you very much for coming. Magdalene Lagu, Head Governance and Stability, FCDO. Yeah, it's because you are very... Thank you. Charles Oyemachi, FCD. Thank you very much for coming. Dr. Matthew Aibakuro, Advisor, FCDO. Thank you very much for coming. Valentine Udida, FCDO. Thank you very much for coming. So we'll go straight to more goodwill messages. And we would like to get the representative of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission. Do we have representative in the room? Okay, so we'll just move ahead. Honorable Adebayo Balogun, a friend of KDI, an ally in the National Assembly. He is the House Committee Chairman on Electoral Matter. We'll have you for goodwill message. Thank you.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All put us duly. But just like the AIG said, we won't skip all the protocols without expressing our respect to the KBSC, the representative of the G of Akure. Well, I won't be pardoned if I do that, because I'm the Olori Omoba of Ibeju land. Well, it is an honor to address this gathering as Impact Development Initiative presents the Nigerian Election Violence Education and Resolution Report, NEVA, with a specific reference on the experiences from the Edo and Ondo off-cycle elections. In view of this report as a critical, I view this report as a critical step in our continued effort to strengthen democracy, promote electoral integrity, and ensure that elections are conducted in a peaceful and credible manner. Elections are the backbone, at the bedrock of democracy, allowing citizens to freely choose their leaders. Freely choose. It is when we have something contrary that violence starts. However, the persistent challenge of electoral violence remains a threat to our democracy, a democratic progress. Now, as we move forward, looking at a situation where sometimes either from the part of the operators or the practitioners, once we try to deviate from the norms, then resistance starts. Then we are starting to build a kind of foundation for serious electoral violence. And that's why sometimes I say it's not just enough for us to have the laws. It is for us to be ready to follow the rules and to ensure that, yes, we all do the right thing. And I also look at the situation where issues are not even over-orchestrated, because in as much as the media and all the stakeholders try to ensure that they put information to the public, it is very important for us to even manage some of this information. The media sometimes, the over-orchestration of political office is also contributing to the tension being created. And to me personally, I ask people, by the time you get to the office, when some of the opposition get to the office, like what we have this time around, I would say this is the first time we have a polarized assembly, and even generally. Even the governors, we have APC, we have PDP, and we have Labour. This is the first time NNPP, 4 parties, governors, and same thing in the National Assembly. Even the National Assembly, we have the YPP and some other parties, so polarized, and yet really coming out to say that we've been able to identify 2 or 3 things that we were talking about when we were outside. And that's one of the reasons I say we over-orchestrate some of these issues. We over-orchestrate the benefits. And when someone sells his own property and sells everything, wanting to get to office, And the thought of losing that position creates so much tension. And that's why I said the media and stakeholders generally, we need to get facts and talk only about facts when we are actually addressing Nigerians. So we have seen how tensions before, during, and after elections can undermine public trust, discourage voters' participation, and erode the credibility of our electoral process. The experience from Edo and Ondo State should provide valuable lessons on how we can mitigate electoral violence through education, early conflict resolution, and strict enforcement of electoral laws. I hope that the findings and recommendations in this report emphasizes the need for greater voters' education, proactive security measures, and stronger collaboration amongst political actors, civil societies, security agencies. As lawmakers, we remain committed to strengthening our electoral laws and ensuring that those that incite or perpetrate violence are held accountable, which is why we are opposing the Electoral Offences Tribunal to prosecute electoral offenders. I commend all stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, security agencies, civil societies, organizations, the media, the royal fathers, traditional rulers within all the communities, for their roles in promoting peaceful election. As we could see, the last two elections, there were so much pre-election tensions than even the main elections. And that is why it is very important for us to put infrastructure in place. The Electoral Act over the years has evolved from the days of the Operation Wettier, where people were so agitated for the fact that, those days we used to have this Fedeco box where you vote and your vote will be taken to somewhere to count. And most of the agents are not allowed to get to the counting centers. And to period where the riverine areas with very low population determine the outcome of elections. We call them Iboloi, where the riverine areas, which actually are very low in population, but when the vote comes, they comes in millions. To a situation where we now have biometric registration, and latest now is the biometric accreditation of voters. This has actually removed electoral fraud. I'll tell people the last election has been the best election in Nigeria so far. The practitioners know this. The fear of the beavers is the beginning of wisdom. If you like, keep 500,000 voters cards in your house. They are no longer useful. In fact, moving forward, we might not even need the voters card again, because that was useful during the card reader era. Today, we now have the beavers. All you need is your number. Once your number is inputted, it brings out your profile. And then you check if you are the person by putting your biometrics, your fingerprint, or your facial recognition. So with this, it's very difficult for anybody to vote twice. Unlike before, when just 2-3 people can deliver 2,000 votes for you. So no matter how you bring people for registration, you must also bring them for voting physically. So this alone has reduced so much tension. So moving forward, it's going to be very difficult for people to manipulate. And if there's no manipulation, there won't need for any fighting. Because you know that if they cancel this election, they will do it again. And if you have lost before, you will lose again. The only thing that can make you win is to perform. And any party that wants to stay in government has no other machinery than to continue to perform and deliver on the mandate it promises the people. So I want to again thank the stakeholders for putting this together. Yes, we must review where we are coming from, what really happened, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to correct some of the findings that will be observed in the election. But I'm positive that, contrary to expectations of so many people, the report will be far than what was actually expected, especially that of Edo. So many people predicted that probably there might not be a state called Edo again. I'm sure the security officers were on red alert throughout. Because when I saw that there was going to be, we were going to talk about Edo security, and I came down here and I started seeing the security officer in red caps, I thought that was the danger of Edo that they were just trying to tell us. Finally, we as legislators, and like I just said earlier, the Electoral Offences Tribunal Commission is a bill that we intend to pass this time around, and we'll be going for public hearing very soon. Before we clap for us, like I tell people, the law is made by Nigerians, and the CSOs, this is an area you need to orchestrate if you really want to educate people. Most of the time, you blame the politicians, but you fail to do our work to let people know their roles and their responsibilities. In Lagos, we had the NSAS, which was about the police reform. Unfortunately, when doing the constitutional amendment, state police was on the burner and was taken for public hearing. The day it came to Lagos, the hall was empty. People didn't come out to say we need state police. And the other areas where they didn't need state police, they came out. So state police could not go back for final consideration. We are just your representatives. You are the one that practice. It's only the police that can bring amendment in the security bills, security acts. Because you are the practitioners, you are the one that knows what is wrong. To be the president of Nigeria is just to have a school cert. Even primary school is enough with experience. But because we are voted by the people, we have the mandate of the people, that's why we are here. It's not because we understand all the principles or sectors of the country. So we need people to come out with areas that feel that are affected. So when you bring that in, that is when we'll be able to work on the bill and sponsor it on your behalf. So the Electoral Offences Tribunal bill is on. By the time we go for public hearing, it's not everybody that wants it. We have to be factual. So when the people that don't want it comes out and say no, and people that want it only sit down in their houses and talk on television, then it will never go back for final consideration. Talk less of getting the assent of Mr. President. And then nobody will start blaming Mr. President for not giving us the Electoral Offences Tribunal that we actually create for. So I want to use this opportunity to tell all of us that whenever we start the public hearing of our amendment of the Electoral Act, we want maximum cooperation of the public. In fact, we intend to visit at least 2/3 of the states of Nigeria. We want to be in almost all the states. And we intend to send out questionnaires for people to all walks of lives, so that everybody, every sector of the economy and the society will be able to have their input in this. These are the ways we can permanently solve most of the problems we have at hand. And once again, I thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think Operation Wet Tear was one of the reasons why a leading civil society organization around election security was in Ondo State, KDI. Apologies to the prince, the son of the soil of Ibejuleki. After a chief is supposed to be a prince to follow. We are learning on this business. Thank you. I want to recognize the presence of SC Ogbebo Efosa, PRO, NSCDC, Edo State. You are very welcome. Al-Aji Abdulaziz Nosakari Igbinidu, the representative of the chairperson, Edo State Peace Mediation Working Committee. You are very welcome. I would like to recognize the representative of the commandant of NSCDC FCT command. Headquarter, I beg your pardon, Miss Oladele Titilayo. You are very welcome. I will just go straight to the program of the event. And just quickly, for 3 minutes, Al-Aji Abdulaziz Nosakari Igbinidu will get your goodwill message. A round of applause for Al-Aji, please.
Good morning, all. Please let me stand on the already established protocol. Just as you have said, my name is Abdulaziz Nosakari Igbinidu. I'm the chairman of Edo State Council for Islamic Affairs, and also a member and the vice chairperson of Edo Peace Committee. We thank Almighty Allah for making us to be here this morning again. And really, if you see why we are gathering here today, is because the politicians, they are not living up to expectation about what we expect of them. That is why we are thinking of, we are now hearing something about violence. If not, there would have been no need for we to have a lot of intervention or program to avert all this violence. Ordinarily, politicians will say they want to come and serve. And within them, what they really have in mind is not just serving. It is because of the material thing that they have, they want to get. So anything that now seems to disturb them from this actualizing or maximizing their material things, this is what causes violence. That is why you see a lot of time people that are unable to get elected, because they know that they get elected, they will be able to maximize their material things. If anything that threatens their being elected, it was more into that caused a violence. So there was a lot of intervention, especially for the past Edo election. In this light, I want to thank the KDI for all the monitoring they did, as well as the Peace Committee. So the Peace Committee did a lot of things. They meet with the international institution, religious body, the CSO, and others to make sure that there is there's a shift from the real violence that we're having before in Edo State to a better one. And at the end of it all, the result that came out actually showed that there was an improvement. The first time in Edo State where election was conducted without any casualty. There was no death, there was no serious injury. So we thank, we praise the KDI for their intervention and all those other donor agencies that help to make sure that we are able to attain this feat. And all the CSO too,
So it is good that we all should know election is not a do or die affair. It's not every time we spend our scarce resources to try to avert election, to avert violence in election. By the time we are able to advance ourselves very well and do the rightful thing, there will be no need for we to spend a lot of resources and time to avert violence. So we all, in our own capacity, we have the duty to advise each and every one of us, all our relation, the need for we to be tolerant and avoid election violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdulaziz. If all stakeholders' hands are on deck, we won't be spending so much to avert violence in our election. Lastly, we'll just go straight to the last goodwill message. Ms. Magdalene Lagu, Head Governance and Stability, FCDO. A round of applause for her, please.
Brilliant, thank you. If you will please permit me to stand on the established protocol, that would be great. And I will make sure I'll get you out of here quickly on a Friday. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely great to see so many esteemed colleagues and stakeholders here. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. I'd like to commend the team at KDI for their hard work on the Nigeria Violence Education and Resolution Project. Now, I understand that while today's event focuses on Edo and Ondo states, this is a culmination of work on election security over several years. As Nigeria continues the path of democratic progress, it is critical that election security is front and center. This gathering is therefore incredibly important. Peaceful and inclusive elections are key to democratic participation. Citizens cannot exercise free will with fear. Your role as security agents, traditional and religious organizations and leaders, special representative groups, the media, and civil society was therefore fundamental to make a reality for the citizens of Edo and Ondo states. Your invaluable contribution to the process, some of which I hear was done with utmost humility in the background, has no doubt played a key role in the story being told here today by KDI. As your partners, and I say partners, I hope it's true partnership that's not just about the money, but about mutual progress on prosperity. As your partners, we appreciate the critical role you will play in upholding democratic values and good governance in Nigeria. I'm here today to listen, and I'm looking forward to reading the report in full. The UK is committed to supporting innovative interventions such as never, and look forward to working with partners in government and civil society. Thank you once again to Bukola and the rest of the team at KDI and everyone else who has put in huge work and effort to make this project a success. Thank you.
We'll just move straight to the event proper. We'll have our team lead, Mr. Bukola Edo, the Executive Director, KDI, for his welcome address. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. I know the protocol established me, just like to follow AIG. Thank you so much for coming. I want to say, Kabiesi, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Honorable Bayo, we are so glad to have you here. Thank you so much. And the IG, ably represented, and the AIG, thank you so much for coming. And CP Nemi Iwo, thank you. We appreciate your coming. And Dr. Charles, thank you so much for making it here. We so much appreciate that. Coming all the way from Lagos to just to be here. We really, really appreciate you. And I also want to quickly thank Magdalene and Lagu, thank you so much. We're so glad to meet you today. And I also want to quickly just appreciate my own, my mother. Thank you so much, Madam NLB. Your encouragement has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. I just want to, the list is just long, but just permit me to go forward. I can thank you so much for being here. Charles, Val, Matthew, everyone, I just appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. This meeting is not expected to be a long meeting. Today is Friday. It's expected to be a short meeting, and we intend to keep to that. But permit me to say few things before I bring up Dr. Charles, who will be speaking to us, and then from there we go to the unveiling of this report. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, esteemed guests, fellow stakeholders, and I am honored to welcome you to the public presentation of the final report of the Nigeria Violence Education and Resolution Project, NEVA, implemented by Kimpa Development Initiative in Edo and Ondo State with the support of the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Over the past year, KDI has worked tirelessly to track, 1, document, 2, and mitigate electoral violence in Edo and Ondo State. Our pre-election phase monitoring, which began in January 1st, 2024, revealed 210 cases of violence combined. And when I say combined, whether electoral or non-electoral, with 118 cases of non-electoral out of the 210, 100 cases of non-electoral violence which has nothing to do with elections, and 98 cases of electoral violence in both states. Our findings were used to engage stakeholders, including security agencies and election management body, to aid their preparation for the election. We also established the State Peace and Mediation Working Committee in both states, comprising non-partisan influential individuals. Thank you, the chairman, Edo Islamic Council, for being here and here, leading the peace. Of course, when you have the report, you will see the details in the report. This committee played crucial role in promoting peace initiative and resolving conflict in both states. Furthermore, thank you. Furthermore, KDI, in partnership with the State Peace and Mediation Working Committee, Edo and Ondo State Police Command and the Nigerian Civil Defense, convened a peace and security summit in both states, which brought together relevant stakeholders, including political parties, election management bodies, security agencies, and other institutions. The summit provided a platform for stakeholders to commit to peaceful election and to develop strategy for preventing and mitigating electoral violence. In addition, our People's Town Hall meeting on election security aired on channels television across the nation, and of course, other people joined outside the country, provided an opportunity for citizens to engage with stakeholders on issues related to election security. As a matter of fact, looking at the data, the back end, and work with channels, we have over 3 million people that watched that town hall meeting. And it was just engaging, bringing issue of election security to the front burner. Our radio town hall, which were broadcast in both states, further amplified the message of peaceful election and encouraged citizens to take an active role in promoting peace. Today, again, mark a significant milestone in our collective effort to promote peaceful election and mitigate electoral violence in Nigeria. As we present our final report, We are proud of the progress made, but we are also aware of challenges that still lie ahead. While we are celebrating peaceful election in both states, we know this is not the time to let down our guard. Our report highlights the need for sustained efforts to promote electoral integrity, mitigate electoral violence, and ensure that the voices of the citizens are heard. The report also underscored the importance of multi-stakeholder collaboration in promoting peaceful election, which our report shows that it is not election security, it is not the sole responsibility of the security agencies. It requires collective effort. We recognize that the electoral violence is a complex issue that requires comprehensive and collective response. Therefore, we call on all stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society organizations, and citizens to work together to address the root causes of electoral violence and promote peaceful election. As we begin this conversation, I invite you to join us in reflecting on our shared experiences, challenges, and successes. Let us work together to identify opportunities for collaboration, innovation, and growth. Our collective effort can make a significant difference in promoting peaceful election and strengthening our democracy. What we have now is Nigeria, we are having election all year round, as it is. By this year, November, Anambra is going to have their election, and around that December, party primaries for Ondo and Ekiti is likely going to happen. I mean, Ekiti and Osun is likely going to happen. That is 2026. Before we say Jack Robinson, 2027 is here. And this is why we must sustain the effort. Once again, I thank the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office for their support. I thank Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, for their support. And above all, I thank the incredible team at KDI who worked tirelessly in tracking, documenting, and mitigating mitigating incidents of electoral violence in both states. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to our conversation today, which we believe that stakeholders here will take further in terms of engagement as we approach the coming election. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests once again, and as we begin this conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for your rapt attention. And so, moderator, you will permit me, because I know you still want to recognize most people. We've recognized everybody, but just let's bring program. I think, just permit just one person to recognize that the representative of the National Peace Committee, the secretariat, and I'm talking about the, the National Peace Committee headed by General Absalam Abubakar, and we are also very happy and grateful to work with them. And in both states, I am happy to say that Father Atabakindo is there, the Executive Director, Kuka Center. Thank you so much for coming, Father Atabakindo. So please permit me, let's go straight to this conversation, and then so that today is Friday, we can move. So just permit me to do that. And it's my honor to welcome here to take this keynote address, which we believe is stakeholders here and people watching us from home and everybody, we're going to have, the depth of the knowledge that we come here and that will propel us to have a very, as going forward, peaceful election. Without wasting much time, please permit me to welcome Dr. Shas Omale, who is going to deliver this address to the Director General, the Institute of for Police and Security Policy. Thank you so much, Dr. Shas. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Because of time,
will identify with the established protocol. This morning, I want us to look at the topic promoting electoral security, credibility, and public trust in Nigeria. Promoting electoral security, credibility, and public trust in Nigeria. Elections are the cornerstone of democracy, as we all know, ensuring that power is granted based on the people's will. However, for democracy to function effectively, electoral processes must be secure, credible, and trusted by the public. Our country's elections have historically been marred by challenges such as electoral violence, vote buying, logistical failures, cyber threats, and political interference. These issues undermine democratic institutions and fuel public distrust of electoral system. The former Secretary of United Nations, Kofi Annan, once said, elections without integrity breed a government without legitimacy. In Nigeria, a nation rich yet complex political history, particular elections in 2019 and 2023 demonstrated some progress, at the same time demonstrated some inherent and historical problems. Let me set some historical context. If you go back to the colonial era and the post-independence elections of Nigeria, elections in Nigeria dated back, that is in terms of modern time, to around 1923, when the first elections for the Legislative Council were conducted under the British colonial rule. The elections were limited to Lagos and Calabar at that time, and voting rights were restricted to property owning males and all kinds of funny rules. The transition to independence in 1960 expanded the franchise and established a multi-party system, but ethnic and religious divisions marred the elections. Now, you need to understand this, that the problem of elections in Nigeria, one might say, might not be a problem of our system of voting, might be a problem of Nigerians. Because while our election system has been changing, same problem keeps rearing their head. So the only constant are the Nigerian people. In the 1959 general election, that set the stage for independence, but were controversial, with allegations of colonial interference favoring the then Northern People's Congress, NPC. The 1964 federal elections and the 1965 Western region elections were also characterized by electoral fraud, violence, intimidation, leading to the first military coup in 1966. So we've been fighting this battle for a very long time. As it worked till 1965, the electoral system became a convenient instrument for power seekers. Those who succeeded at the regional and federal levels on their 5-year term mandate gained and utilized power in ways that promoted ethnic sentiments rather than national unity. Historically, a significant source of friction and conflict between party leaders in Nigeria was how best to maintain law and order during elections. Unfortunately, this shows that the issues of violence during elections have deep roots in the colonial era. This problem became worse during and after the 1951 elections. In these elections, the nomination became somewhat, difficult and sometimes took a few hours to complete on a blackboard as it was in those days before voting began on the same day. The elections during its primary and intermediate stages were characterized by voters whispering the names of their favored candidate to electoral officers. Literature actually called that election what they call the whispering election, because of the pervasive nature of that habit. As powers available at the regional and federal level increased, more players were attracted into the political space in Nigeria. Hence, in the federal and regional elections of 1954, from 1954 onwards, there was a marked escalation of electoral infraction and violence. The contrast in the electoral atmosphere during the 1964 elections, which saw a marked deterioration compared to the 1959 election, could be best summarized by the then Inspector General of Police, Louis Edet, in a message he broadcast on NBC network in December 1965. And I quote him: "The election year of 1959 and the general election of 1964 have two very notable and striking dissimilarities," he said. "In 1959, the battle was one of words. In 1964, the battle is one of deeds, sometimes felonious deeds. It is not to the credit of this great country," he continued, "that violence has been introduced to our politics to the extent of shedding blood. But it happened in 1964. Some party supporters even revel in being called thugs." End of quote. To tackle this issue then, the Nigerian police force initiated what was called Operation Hooliganism in the month leading to the 1964 federal elections. In the first 2 weeks of August 1964, the NPF apprehended 498 suspected thugs in Lagos area alone. Nevertheless, despite the police effort, the threat of thugs and electoral violence lingered. I've elaborated on these historical antecedents to illustrate that the issue of credibility and violence during elections in Nigeria is not a new challenge. It has always been there. It has only worsened. This underscores that a primary problem with the electoral problem in Nigeria lies with the participants in the field rather than the electoral system in place. This exemplifies the conflict between what I call technical solution and adaptive challenge. A peace-loving and reformed populace can make any system function. In contrast, a nation plagued by corruption and improper conduct of citizenry will fail to make even the most technical advanced system work. Going off my note a little bit, a very good example is in Kenya. Just over a decade ago, Kenya changed their electoral system where everything became electronic. From the accreditation to the transmission, everything was electronic. But the second term election of Uhuru Kenyatta was voided by their Supreme Court for electoral malpractice, even though everything was electronic. So those who are campaigning for electronic voting in Nigeria are not wrong. But what I'm saying is, if you don't change this mentality and the mindset of the players, they will frustrate any system you introduce. In fact, if you read the Supreme Court judgment in the Kenya case, it showed that the chairman of the IEDC, which is equivalent of INEC, his login was used to log into computers 180 times across the nation on one night. That shows you that even electronics can be compromised.
if the players have the same mindset. So what we've been doing in Nigeria is changing systems, but we are not changing people. We are changing systems, we are not changing the value system. We are changing systems, we are not changing the mindset and the incentives that promote electoral fraud. So, Nigeria prolonged military rule from 1966 to 1999, saw repeated attempts to reintroduce democratic governance. The 1979 to 1983 elections conducted under the Second Republic were with vote rigging, ballot box snatching, manipulation by the ruling party, then the NPN. In fact, if you read some of these reports of violence at elections going past, from 79 and all that, you can actually change the date from 79 to 2023 and everything will read same. So it shows that why things are changing, a lot have not changed. The Fourth Republic will return to civilian rule in 1999. That marked a renewed effort to institutionalize democratic elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission was strengthened and electoral laws were reviewed. However, elections in 2003, 2007, and 2011 were marred by violence, voter intimidation, widespread rigging, ballot stuffing, and weak judicial oversight. Progress was made in 2015 when Nigeria witnessed its first peaceful transition of power through ballot from President Jonathan to President Buhari. The 2023 elections, while improved in some areas, such as voters' accreditation, still suffered from logistical failures, security threats, and disputes over result transmission. Just to emphasize that it's the people that is the problem rather than the system. As somebody who lived in England for over 30 years, anytime I'm there during election time, believe you, till today, we vote with pencil and paper. Not even biro. One short pencil like this and paper. It's the cheapest election I've ever seen. And yet it's fairly free and fair. And yet in Nigeria we are in problem that we have. So what I want to do, of course, national weaknesses of INEC itself. I constantly tinkering with our electoral act every few years. It's not necessary. It's very challenging. I remember that if I voted in England, which hall, and a lady that was checking the electoral that job for past elections, and they just do that for the day. It creates institutional memory. They know how to done with their eyes closed. But when you are constantly changing your electoral act, it means you have a burden to now train over and over again. Then to deal with exceptions become difficult. Then you also have a INEC tends to employ these ad hoc staff too close to elections. And then you dismiss them. So you employ them, train them, dismiss them. Then the next election you employ fresh people. And repeat it, dismiss them, fresh people. That is recipe for disaster. What stops INEC, especially if they are using these coppers? What stops them retaining the data of some of them, those who want to be continuous ad hoc staff of INEC, and continue once they are training elections, such that when there is election, you have You have people there who know the system, not just somebody giving a 3-hour crash course on how to, manage elections. Of course, there is the issue of judicial complicity in electoral disputes. Judiciary is supposed to be the last line of defense, ensuring that elections disputes are resolved fairly and in accordance with the law. One key problem is the inconsistency and the lack of consistency in election rulings. The inconsistency comes where one judgment will be based on the facts of the case, and judgment will be based purely on the technicality of the case. So when you have technicality being the basis for verdicts, what the real issue in dispute is never resolved. So you actually don't know what the law is in that particular area. And we've seen that manifested in different ways. Some general recommendations for security and credibility. Well, we need to strengthen our electoral law. This time around, we need to do a more comprehensive tweak rather than doing it after every elections. We need to enhance electoral security, deploy technology better, train security personnel, and engage better with communities. Promote transparency and accountability, and that's what I would have done. You will see the problem with IREV is, you see, garbage in, out. If you don't do a good job in the first place, put in a pig. It's pig. So if you don't do a good job in the first place, upload it into read numbers, can't read names, you can't read numbers. Is a deliberate sabotage technique, or is INEC employing those who can hardly read and write? That's the question we need to ask them. We need to combat vote buying and corruption because party has been weaponized. The difference between principles of election security and the principles of election day security. Election security is a critical aspect of democratic governance, ensuring that electoral processes are free, fair, and credible. While both election security management and election day security management focus on safeguarding elections, they differ in scope, timing, and objective. Election security management is a broad, long-term strategy encompassing all security measures before, during, and after an election. It involves risk assessment, intelligence gathering, planning, and coordination. What that means is election security is what happens from the day after the last election. Election security is what happens on the day of election. Election security, if you get problem with your election day security. So this whole idea of focusing on one day is because we have not done what we have done in the weeks and months leading to that election. So election is a process, therefore it's not an event. So a key recommendation I have is that registered political parties, Nigeria Police Force, INEC, and other security agencies should produce a yearly given the off-cycle elections that we have. I think technically we are having practically every year now. That in itself is an party select candidate has impact on election security. The way they conduct rallies or what they say at their rally, the way they conduct rallies or what they say at their rally have effect on election security. Those are things that can be monitored right from the beginning. And if that is done properly, and there are strategies to this, we can now have an easier election day security. But because we don't do any of those things, then everybody now tries to enforce peace on that day. It doesn't work that way. Election security management is a long-term strategic framework, while election day security management is a short-term tactical implementation strategy. For Nigeria to achieve credible elections, both aspects must be appropriately coordinated with all the stakeholders. A Nobel laureate once said, "A country's democracy is only as strong as its electoral processes." Nigeria must embrace technology, reform its institutions, enforce strict penalties for electoral offenses, ensure trustworthy elections. The road ahead requires political will, citizens' engagement, and international practices, which I think organizations such as KDI can help to promote in our society. But more importantly, there is need for massive reorientation campaign of Nigerians. That is absolutely necessary. You see, somebody was telling me the other day, "Oh, Nigerians can't change." I said, "That's not true. Nigerians are very adaptable." He said, "How can I prove it?" I said, "Okay, let me give you a very simple analogy. Put 100 Nigerians on a flight from Nigeria to, say, London or New York. Then when they land in New York, the air hostesses will say, "Please sit down until the plane comes to a stop." Put your video around that aircraft. Nobody stands up. The following day, bring the same 100 Nigerians to Lagos. Simple. And then the plane lands in Lagos, and the airline gives the same announcement. You'll be surprised that while the plane is moving, everybody has stood up. So the question you ask yourself is, why the changes in behavior? Consequences. They know over there is consequences. But they know here, I won't say more than that. So that shows you Nigerians can change their behavior if there is consequence. And for those of us who are old enough to have been working during the Buhari first term as military head of state, he started what was called war against indiscipline. I remember living off Ikorodu Road during that time. You see Nigerians queuing to go and use overhead bridge. Those are Nigerians that did those things. So there's a need for massive reorientation campaign, in my view. Because if we only will improve our electoral process, to constantly tinker with the Electoral Act, constantly change the technicalities, then we will never have a credible election in this country. Because it doesn't matter what we put in place, the people will know how to circumvent it. You know, while growing up, something one of my teachers used to say in those days, he said the white man that created the pencil also created the eraser. I think what they were trying to say is there is a technical solution, but they don't know there are ways around it. So what needs to change, therefore, is not this continuous change of our electoral process and system. It's more of reorientating Nigerians to think differently and think differently about elections. Because if we have countries that are voting with pencil and paper and the elections are credible, I think with what we have, what INEC has put in place, a renewed-minded Nigerians can make it work for the sake of our posterity. Thank you for your time.
Please, another round of applause for Dr. Charles. Wow, that was a very enriching conversation. Not really a conversation, it was a very enriching speech. Some of my takeaways from everything he said are that we need to strengthen electoral law in Nigeria. We need to enhance electoral security. We combat vote buying and corruption. And one important one that really stuck to me was of election security and election security. We'll be moving to the next main meal today. And I would like to welcome some of our panelists up here. And looking at the list of panelists, there's no gender balance. In fact, I didn't see this list before today. Else, I would have probed KDI for not ensuring gender balance in the panel. But yes, I would start by introducing, the queen of the panel, and that would be Madam Ene Obi, former convener, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. Please, a round of applause for her. Secondly will be AIG Abayomi Oladipo Peters, CTU Force Headquarters, Abuja. I'd also like to welcome CP Nemi Iwo, CP Border Patrol. And our honorable moderator, Head of Research and Strategy, KDI, Oluwafemi Adebayo John. Round of applause for him. This conversation is going to be filled with data, research, analysis, a lot of numbers. Welcome, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Sano. I want to say good morning, everyone. I think the panel is also a reflection of the state of the Nigerian society, right? Because if you also look at the lineup, it's basically based on the positions and designations of individuals that had one or two things to do in the elections. Maybe one of the things we also need to look forward to is when we have maybe a female CP that will also conduct an elections, right? All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, my panel. I know that the AIG, the then CP that actually manned and conducted the Ondo elections, while CP Nemihiwo was in charge of the elections in Edo State, and NLB, she was around for the election. Of course, on the panel, she'll be from the angle of the civil society and the Nigerian people. All right, thank you. Okay, let's just go straight to it. But before that, there are some important things that I want to actually reel out that will guide the conversation. Thank you to Omole for that very important conversation. The very first thing that we look at from KDI is the aspect of the stakeholders' collaboration in the elections. One of the key aspects of it, I think I would just allow the AIG to speak. I think the technical people, please help me here. Thank you. To speak around stakeholders' collaboration in this election from the angle of the Nigerian police. Because I've heard a couple of times regarding security, not just a one-man business. It's everybody's business, right? So I just want the AIG to actually start from that before we go into some important details of that.
Okay, thank you very much, the moderator. My name remains Abayomi Peter Oladipo. As it affects the elections, security, synergy among all stakeholders is very apt. That if you take it for granted, the whole thing, and that is exactly what worked for us according to what Dr. Chan about election security management as against election day security management. In Ondo State, before the election proper, we had series of interviews with all the security agencies, intelligence outfits, safety agencies, even including the Federal Fire Service and other stakeholders, the civil defense, DSS. We had series of meetings with the INEC under the heads of security agencies and the ISS, which actually gave us a good background for our planning. And also the CSOs, because we acknowledge the fact that paid security agencies cannot do it alone. And our religious, faith-based organizations were part of the planning. And that really gave us room to do risk assessment of the 3 senatorial zones and the 18 local government areas of the state. We had information, intelligence about would be crisis, possible trouble makers in the state. And that really helped us, and it even helped us in our deployment on the election day security. So, synergy, collaboration, cooperation among all stakeholders really worked for us. And I want to really give credit to the peace security chairman for the role they played, because we met severally before the elections, and even foreign-based observers, the MPs, they came, they were able to give us the information we have with them, we share with them, and it was good. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, AIG. I will move to the CP of in charge of the elections in Edo State, to just talk about what, because I heard today in the room while conversations or when the speeches were going on around the fact that this will most likely be the first elections conducted in Ondo State, in Edo State, right? I think even though it's also similar, in Edo State without fatality, document election violence, and on the election day there were none. So what really worked?
Thank you very much, Professor. You see, I'm really impressed with this. It's an opportunity we're looking for all this while to unveil what really happened in Edo State. When I took over as the CP Edo State, it was very close to the elections. And everybody was, sorry for me in the sense that they felt I was going to carry a very big burden But however, I just have to, inform you that few weeks side, I was engaged with CSOs, with chiefs, with faith-based organizations, everyone involved. If I all my men, and I had a very good team, yeah, you can, attest to the fact that I was already engaging him, invite people, even the political parties, their chieftains, was behind. The rest of them, even cultists, we are also invited to come around and let's put test how can effective manage decision before the election. Officers, we have 3 phases to an election as finished. One is before the election, that's pre-election time. We put in a lot of day proper and post-election. During the pre-election, everything will flow. It's like a wedding ceremony. That instance. Put in a lot of energy for preparation for the wedding day. Then after that, wedding day is just a day. Just like a day. You put enough energy, put enough time, before the wedding. If you just right before the wedding, things are going to be okay after the wedding. So it is in the election. So when we got in, my team was quite ready. And I had the support of the IGP. He gave me all the supports I could, need at the material time. He was always, talking about training and retraining, local trainings. People were coming in, CSOs were coming in, we are talking to them. Foreign observers were coming in, we talked to them, and all of them, put all things together to see how we could have a very good election. Meanwhile, the day was going to burn. Also ready to say he's not going to put things together. Like KDI district came to office several times. And my although, take come with ideas, we also we see how on the election, because we put in enough energy, and so the election day was quite smooth. In fact, the impression we had earlier, or people had, was that people are going to die, there will be violence, policemen are going to be shot, and all that. But at the end of the day was quite peaceful. In fact, I slept very well after the elections.
Thank you.
I'm coming.
Please conclude your talk.
Let me conclude there. Now, the post-election section was time also we paid attention. Because, one thing is that if you don't take care of the post-election period, you discover that you run into a lot of problems. Because a little thing could ignite, a little disaffection during the election could ignite post-election process. And so we took care of that, ensured that we monitored the situation from that coalition center, ward, to local government, to the states, until the results were announced.
Thank you very much. I want to first commend KDI for the work they have been able to do so far. KDI is a great member of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. And for a Edo election, I monitored from this room because Situation Room had a Situation Room right in this hall, Wazobia Hall. This was where I monitored from because we're getting reports from the field. But Edo or Ondo, I was on ground. And I want to say that preparing the police force itself before the election is very, very important. Before the 2023 general elections, there was election security management meeting, training for the police force because of the change of that's because of the Electoral Act. And one of the issues that was raised then was the fact that the police or the security agencies cannot arrest people within a certain perimeters unless INEC people call them. So even if they see vote being bought right on the ground there, they cannot make any arrest. I hope we're aware of that. So why ask people, because it's a criminal offense, for you to bribe or be bribed or buying and selling of votes? It's very, very critical that we should have, taken note of all of those things, or maybe it was deliberate, that only INEC, only when the officials tell you, even if they are watching, because the buying and selling is in the open, and so they cannot. I want to just comment on one of the things that, the speaker brought out. I think the parliamentarian brought out, that the fact that you have technology, you can go away and fraud will be reduced. Who is the human? The human that mans the machines. We had, in Kogi election, we had about 238,000 accredited voters. But more than 430,000 was declared, and somebody is sitting on that seat. And the judge, the Supreme Court, says that's okay. And so I'm just bringing out some of the errors. Another error, I would just say, by the CP's, AIG. AIG is coming. One of the things they talked about is the irregular, the kind of constant transfer of CPs. Does that mean that we don't trust the men who are on ground? Why transfer somebody so close to the election when the person is the one that knows everything around? And we saw that in even Anambra. Anambra, we were on ground to conduct a Nigerian Civil Society session room, was going to conduct the interagency meeting. The night we came in, that night, the CP was transferred. And another one installed immediately. Meaning that we couldn't even engage with the agencies. And so, beginning to trust, they trust them, I think is very, very important. The quality of the human being that is manning, very, very important. In the assessment, when you are looking at election security, I think we have come a long way. We have come a long way in the sense that there are several things that come before. If you go to the police, they have an open door policy in terms of meeting with the civil society. And so we visited, and in Edo, Ondo, there is now a very special, there is a security system which they have introduced. I actually visited your office, the field, but I met the air ground for the. And what happens is that they just press a button and you can target where that thing is at a very advanced technology. I hope they will be able to bring it to bear. But we cannot, as citizens, I think we have the responsibility of citizens. You are as a police, you are as a voter, you are a citizen as next staff, INEC person. And what is our quality? I think we need to deal with the qualities. We need to deal with capacity building for the for all agencies. And so now parties that don't have registration, mentioned for us to note some of these points. The political parties in Nigeria have no register. And so if they tell you this is the number of their population, it's a lie. This is an aberration because you don't even know your members. You don't have a party membership registration. How are you allowed to conduct, how are you allowed to conduct any party at all? Now the ad hoc staff, which I talked about the speech that was made as well. The issue, we have local government staff all over. I think basically the lack is the quality of the leadership. Zeal. Before now, people used to carry the election materials into their homes. On the election day, they walk to their polling units and they conduct election in Nigeria. So it's not that it has not been done.
Yeah, Madam NLB, we'll get get to some of this on some of these things. But my next question, please meet me, panelists and the audience. I'm going to really set the context for a bit of minute before the question, because one of the primary findings or lessons from the Edo and Ondo elections is one major aspect, which is the fact that we all know that after the enactment of the 2022 Electoral Act, section 89 thereabout, had actually had a period of elections, pre-elections, which spoke extensively about parties should submit their candidate list at least 180 days. It then means that 6 months to the election day, parties are supposed to submit their candidate defined. That's what it means. Aha. But we then see that political parties apparently are not even, and of course campaign have actually been extended to 150 days. But however, we see that since the enactment of the 2022 Electoral Act, pre-election violence has actually in fact been more than what it used to be in the previous elections. But this is not to say there's a problem, because what that seeks to cure is the issue of the court, where pre-election matters are still ongoing when election is already concluded. So the second part is also talking about there are shifting patterns in electoral violence in this election. One of them is what I mentioned. So if you now look at the top of this, we've seen where pre-election assessments were given for reasons, and I must say that we invited INEC, we sent letters to the state, we also sent letters to the national area. Because they were not conventional taken into consideration. For instance, around climate. We did mention in our pre-election assessment, and we engaged the commission regarding this as regard the prediction around weather for the Edo elections. And it did rain, and it caused a bit of in that election. Now, going forward, and I'm going to be specific in Edo, because one of the shifting hands we saw was on the election day, the party agent were actually having a field day. Because that it is not up for me, AIG, I'm actually facing you, right, to ask you this question regarding how do we ensure that some of these unconventional happenings actually nip in the bud in commissions, because we are seeing pant ugly head rearing by the election, where even serve as to call external forces to come and invade the polling unit. So my question is, we've seen this stylishly raising its head in Ondo election, or is its head in Ondo election. Moving forward, what needs vote by which monster be difficult to tame?
Before the issue you raised, I want to say that our stance deals with some crimes. Though some are captured under the Electoral Act, some are not captured. But I want to tell you that a policeman who works his salt, who knows his onion, will not stand and see a non-state actor bearing weapon at the police station, polling units, and will wait for electoral officer to ask him to make arrests. God forbid. And we sensitize our police officers during the trainings organized by the IGP to ensure that issues such as vote buying is not something that is even done on the election day. They do it by transfers to the prospective vote sellers. Now, on the issue of party agents calling in people to come and cause confusion at the polling units. Of course, you know that policemen and, in fact, all security agencies deployed to the polling units were supposed to be deployed unarmed. But however, we have armed units that patrols, cluster units that are there to respond to distress. And in the outer cover, you have the military who are supposed to conduct stop and search a bit far away from the polling units. The fact is that we insisted that polling agents must be accredited. If you are not accredited, you won't be allowed to operate. And of course, it's part of the intelligence gathering for officers that are in those polling units to observe the activities of the party agents. It may shock you that apart from uniformed policemen posted to the polling units, we had some undercover agents that were deployed to the polling units to track and monitor the activities of these party agents. It is not out of place for them to call people knowing fully well the way the voting pattern is going to come and create confusion. But I can tell you that if the security agencies that were deployed followed instructions, you have your phone. Even if those guys cannot be arrested at the scene, they were encouraged to capture and document those individuals so that when they do what they have to do, even if they cannot be arrested at the scene, we have credible documentary evidence which we can use to capture them. Going forward, the party officials need to, like the doctor said, it is not our electoral laws or system that are faulty, but it requires the party officials to know that election is not a do or die affair. If you are voted for by the people, you go to government house. But if you are not voted for, you go back to your father's house or wherever you come from. The fact that we have made our electoral system and party politics to have so much perks of office, and that is why people are making it a do or die affair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AIG. I think, Madam Ene, let me just throw this at you, permit me. One of the things we discovered is that voter education alone won't stop vote buying. Because one of the things that we did when we were actually tracking is also to get week in, week out data around the pre-election environment generally. And we saw civil society having do a lot around voter education. But yet, there are still reports of vote buying, even before elections. So it then means that there is no correlation, and not just voter education. We did measure targeted voter education on vote buying, where it is being mentioned on media spaces, even one-on-one conversations and all. So it then means there are no correlation. I know it's one of the things that is germane to us as civil society. At this point, you are one of the legends in this space. What can we do? How do you see this?
Thank you very much. I want to just correct the other impression that we were changing electoral laws all the time. We're not changing. If you remember the Electoral Act, it went to the president. It was the 7th time that he signed it into law. So it's not regular, but what the content and quality of it is. When you are talking of vote buying, I'm happy that the AIG mentioned that, it is important for us to focus, and look at the criminal code and all the other laws of Nigeria. In the Electoral Act, of course, nobody holds weapon around the perimeters of the election itself. But what about the other violations that are germane to what we're talking about? You have undercover people who look at the vote buying, because it's very obvious that we had a lot of reports. Even KDI, you had some of your reports in your post-election or during the election. Your situation, unit was also, you brought out the fact that there were violence. In fact, one of the spots, the violence that was coming was because the two parties were the heavy players. There were some people who were offering 3,000. Some people were offering 5,000. So it's like you are beating me into it. You are giving more. And that led to violence at a particular spot. I want to let the AIG know that vote buying has been very, very open. Very, very open to the open eye, not even going to an undercover. As Nigerians, we need to all put our hands on deck, because the political class itself has brutalized the system. When they say weaponizing of poverty, more than 100 million Nigerians are below the poverty line. And everybody's poverty, hunger is in the land. That's why they end bad governance protests. Hunger is in the land. People are hungry. You give them whatever. If you remember, they had this very election in Ondo State. A lady, an old elderly lady, say, that is, they gave us money, we voted for them. You go and cast the vote. This is in the open land. Many people looked at that election and wouldn't even come back. You see how poor the turnout is, even when people are offering that, because people are really, really tired. But, the speaker mentioned something, believing in Nigeria. The issue of, war against indiscipline. I lived in Nigeria to see what happened during the Buhari Idiagbon regime. In war against indiscipline, nobody orders you. Leadership direction is very, very important. Nobody will order you. Nobody will tell you not to buy vote or to sell vote, because you will not sell. All of those who have been, I think EFCC was on ground, in Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, and all of that. All those that they arrested, have we seen the daylight? And so the way to go, I just want to mention the issue of the political education before you bring another on board. That the political parties ought to conduct political education for their followers. They are not doing it. National Orientation Agency is supposed to raise the level of civic education. They are not doing it. They are not empowered to do it. INEC itself has the voter, they have funds for voter education right until the 2023 general election. 2 months to the election, I asked the Department of Civic Education, where are the IC materials? They said they are still developing it until we have the voting. So many people are not geared towards Nigeria getting it right. But the issue again is the humans behind the machines, the humans that are voting, and also all of us living to our civic responsibilities.
Thank you so much, madam. I think because I'm a lover of equality and fairness, I've been told that there's a need for us to wrap up. But while Madam Ene was actually speaking, she did mention something around electoral offenders. I would have loved that the AIG respond to that question, but because of equality and fairness, I think CP, I would actually ask you. Madam Ene, she's asking that we heard that there are about, I think there was a widespread report, and I read it, that there are about 6 electoral offenders that were arrested in Edo elections, and it was named 6. So she's asking, what happened to those offenders?
Thank you very much. You know, we had a team from the force headquarters that came in for the investigation of this election. And at the end of the day, 6 electoral offenses were actually identified, and some people were arrested, and some of them were charged to court. They are still being prosecuted. And if you want to go further, you discover that we didn't just stop there. We are still following it up. In fact, when they left, when the team left, they handed over the case to the state CID, and I'm very much aware that they were prosecuting them. I'm sure some of them must have been in jail by now. But I assure you that they're not just let go like that.
All right, thank you so much. The CP said they are not let go. I think it's... Oh, quickly. All right, all right.
I guess you are aware that when electoral offenders are arrested, we have a role to investigate, but the INEC has a corresponding role to support in the prosecution of some of these cases. So we play our own part. They, to their own prosecution team, comes to us, we put heads together as to how to prosecute these individuals.
Thank you, AIG. I'm feeling like...
Sorry.
Oh,
There's
okay.
something that I have to put down here.
Oh, okay.
What we have noticed, especially the off-cycle elections, if the police say there will be no violence, there won't be. Because the intelligent part with the police force, it's very, very... I'm telling you that they have all the qualities to provide security, because in Osun, all the red flags, they knew where the red flags were, and they were able to man it down. And so the police need to believe in themselves. And also the political class should avoid using the police the way they want. Thank you.
Can I just add something there?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's very interesting because she just raised the point, this last election in Edo, and maybe also Ondo, the strategy was changed. We changed the strategy. In all the local governments, we have commissioners of police. The senatorial districts, we have commissioners of police. These are men of integrity who actually monitor the elections. And so we don't have to underestimate what they did to make sure that the elections were peaceful. So I just want to mention that.
All right.
Before now, it was just like that, people could just go there. So if we had a commissioner of police, or if you have a commissioner of police on ground, and you have the deputy commissioner of police and like that was the strategy we used also to enhance the quality of the elections. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, CP. I think just permit me, just in 5, just to ask and cede the conversation to the audience. Do we have people with comment, questions? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, please quickly in a minute.
Thank you. My comment is very, very brief. Father Barkindo from the Kuka Center. I think, first of all, we need to define what constitutes peaceful elections. Is it just because nobody was killed, therefore the elections was peaceful? I think that beyond just killing, there are pockets of violence, but there's also massive violations. And all these things demonstrate that, of course, there's election insecurity. Even if no one was killed, and you experience violence, you experience massive violations. Look at what happened in Adamawa. On a Sunday, INEC asked everyone to go to the church. And from nowhere, an INEC official came to announce the results, which were still being counted. You can't say that kind of election is peaceful. We had to quickly intervene in Adamawa, otherwise there was going to be a serious problem. This is one thing. I think conceptually we need to actually define what constitutes peaceful election. And my second and final comment is, I worry really about the political class. Because there's issue of trust and the way we are going in this country. I'm a Catholic priest. Even if God comes down himself and we don't trust God, people will still cheat during elections because we don't trust God. So, and we don't trust God. And my experience actually in Edo and Ondo is that the political class don't even trust the formal institutions set off by government to allow us manage elections. You meet a sitting governor or you meet an opposition candidate, they will tell you they don't trust the police, they don't trust INEC, They don't trust this one. They don't trust the civil society. And therefore, they set up their own informal institutions and agencies that will allow them to promote, their own interests. And that is why you can see, for example, in the last few months, from last year to this year in this country, different state governors using their state house of assembly are passing laws, setting up vigilante groups in preparation for 2027 elections. This is very worrying. If you have constitutional bodies set up by the Constitution, and the people who are the policymakers at the highest level of government, they don't trust these institutions. They rather revert to very informal and very unconventional. What do you expect the ordinary Nigerian to do? So I think that beyond just educating ordinary Nigerians on don't buy, I will buy vote if I need to feed my children. Because this is where we are economically. And I think that we need to engage the policymakers at the highest level of government. You churn out this data, you churn out this evidence, you prepare all these reports. To what extent do you use these reports to engage with the government at the highest level? Because at the end of the day, how you see threat, they don't see it that way. Yeah. You may see a voter buying votes. They don't see it that way. They see them winning
elections.
Thank
you, Father.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please, can we come to Prof. Sano? Oh, okay. Then we'll come to you before we come. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. My name is Aderemi. Let me begin by, congratulating Kimpact for another milestone. You're one of the most respected, member of the CSO. Now, I thought we had a good kill, except that the argument about reviewing Electoral Act, I am completely, opposed to the Speaker's view. I'm sure NLB will tell you the kind of lobbying and advocacy that went into, getting the 2022 Electoral Act. You take the 2022 Electoral Act and the 2010, it's a massive difference. We must continually, examine, update, and improve the regulative and constitutive rule of our elections. Whether it's the man behind the technology or not, you cannot have a good election if you have a defective ground norm. So it's something I think we must continually. There's a coalition, of civil society organizations, and some other agencies to review the 2022 Act, because we have seen that. So we cannot say because we have to train and retrain a bad or defective, Electoral Act. Now, with regards to training ad hoc staff, I think it is high time we dispensed with using ad hoc staff for elections. ENEC has what is called the Electoral Institute. In 2017, I think it was, when Abubakar Momo was elected as the DG of TAI, he said to some of us that, look, this is the only institute he knows that does not have a syllabus, that does not do any training. What we need in this country are certified electoral, officials, people who are trained, who understand and are certified, rather than using NYSC staff. In 2023 in Anambra State, where beavers failed woefully, one of the reasons was because the people trained to man the beavers were told by their parents not to go. So the beavers in Anambra in 2020 was a disaster. So you need people who are trained. I'm a professional election worker. You are certified to use our NYC. And I think another thing that I thought the AIG was on the verge of going into that is that elections will remain the way they are because of its very character. The first past the post is problematic. If you know the cost of, running for office in Nigeria, of course I want to win by all means. If I buy a form for 50 million naira, for instance, and only one person can win, it's logical to do everything you want to do to win. So that's another aspect, of the system that I think we need to sit down as a country and look at. Then let me just wade in on this assertion that you have made, about whether there's a correlation between voter education and vote buying. I'm not sure there's sufficient evidence to say there's no correlation. What would determine that would be, it would depend on the nature and the substance and the content of the voter education. If it is not the right one, of course, it's not going to impact on voter education. So we need to be careful there, before we jump into conclusion. Then finally, on political education, it is true that it's something we need to up. Only INEC, I think INEC does about 80% of voter education in the year of election. So it's not working. So I have a lot of trust in civic and voter education, which are two different things, but it's something that we must hold the political parties to do. It is their work to do, not INEC's work.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. It becomes so difficult when the prof that will teach you political theory is speaking and you're still going to class, so you better behave. Or at least let's move. I think we have him just by your side here. Yes, he's the third person. Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Kayode Lawa. I work for Constituent for Development Initiative. I have to thank the K-Impact for this innovation of Engaging Nigeria. And I have to thank the presenter and the panelists. The first contribution I want to make is basically on the issue of the need to sensitize Nigeria. When we are talking of educating Nigerian people, the INEC has been doing it for a long time. But it's not supposed to be the responsibility of INEC alone, because the civil society know the language they are going to use when you talk about how we can be able to achieve free, fair, and credible election. That's number one. Yeah. Then number two, different community across Nigeria. You cannot just employ a one uniform strategy of communication. Yeah. There's a need to actually ensure it's in tune with the culture and the aspiration of the people. Then, about the party, it's high time for the NGOs, if there's a way to do it from the INEC, as the INEC is the one that actually accredited the NGO to observe the election. Yeah. The political party, how are they even conform with the internal democracy? Because you have a fallout of a lot of crises before the main election that normally actually perfect the re-election when either a stagnant election or a raw election or a general election. And that has been taking a lot of issue regarding how we can be able to have credible election, because most of the boys that you use during the election, the primary election in your party primary, they will still be the one to participate and contribute and make the system during the election unachievable. Then the last thing I want to say is that I have to commend the Inspector General of Police, because last election, when the Amotekun or whatever in Ondo State, they want to take charge by providing the security during the election, the IG actually came out boldly that no, this is not your primary responsibility. It's none of your business. Yeah. What we are going to do now is to actually look at most of these things that we've done well. Then we build on it and we engage the stakeholder, specifically the policymaker, to let them know that election will come and go. It's all about Nigeria, and there's a need for us to be patriotic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, Biodun, please, can you come to... Oh my, I only have 4 hands up. Oh, okay. Let's just come to the front part. No. Dr. Stephen, yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Stephen Okori. I just want to commend KDI and sustaining what they are doing. All contribution I want to make is to the police force. Thank you. Yeah, I am happy to hear that some electoral offenders are being prosecuted and the case is in court. I know how this thing works. The offenders that are undergoing prosecution, they are not the actual people. They're only foot soldiers sent by a politician somewhere. When election wants to hold, the governor of the state, they will bring out the money. Commissioners at that level, they'll be giving monies to go to their local government to see how to deliver. When commissioners get to their local government, they hire these boys to give them money to go for vote buying. That's how it works. So in the list of people that you are prosecuting, I want you to see that there's need for you to elaborate or expand the scope of investigation. Because the people that are buying the votes or giving money to buy votes, somebody sent them. Either a commissioner of health or education or whatever, or a special advisor to the governor. Because this money comes from these people. Because they want to keep their office, the governors will tell them to go and deliver your polling unit, right? So you expand your scope of investigation. One will see commissioners or essays to the governor also standing prosecution. I think it will go a long way to see how to deter people from involving themselves in vote buying. We saw where a returning officer, a professor in the University of Calabar, is already in jail. So at that level, let us see that people that send these people to buy votes are also being prosecuted. So expand the scope of investigation. Thank you.
All right, please
Last
just
question.
take one more.
Okay, my name is Comrade
okay,
Maudi.
okay. We'll come around. We'll pass the mic around.
Okay, I just want to thank KDI and also the Dr. Charles for the great work they've done today and they've been doing and will continue to do. I just want to say that Dr. Charles' presentation is so exciting, but I was looking for the role of the state capture, state vested interest in responsible for fraudulent elections and the insecurity or electoral insecurity. I didn't see it. Because when a state is interested in election, it will do everything to make sure it captures that state. And even the security agencies will not work in that election and they will be incapacitated. They only work to deliver the votes. So if we interrogate this, and even the INEC, despite the laws and all that, when a state allows it to work, you can see some free, fair, credible elections like we had in Edo, Ondo year 2020, Anambra year 2021, Osun and Ekiti following 2022. So if the state allows election to happen, then we will see improvement. And when the state is corrupt and its officers and the INEC is also in the business of corruption, we have to look at those elements to see where we can have public trust. Nigerians are ready to support the electoral process and elections and do the right thing if they see that the state is responsible and responsive. But when they do not see it, they will not support because they are not even interested. The only reason they came out to register and to vote for year 2023 general elections, where they saw what was coming out from Ondo, from Edo and Anambra, Osun and Ekiti, year 2020 to year 2000. To ensure free, fair, and credible elections. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you very much. Sanon, please hold on. Because I know that people at the back are looking at me and all. So please, Mr. Mohammed, right? Mr. Solomon, you promised me you're only using 60 seconds to 1 minute. Thank you.
Hello. Mine is...
no, it's just because of our brothers that are also going to pray, please. Thank you. Thank you.
With all that's been said, we've actually not touched about interest, foreign interest. Let's take Lagos State, for instance, having an election. Interest of a governor from Bauchi State to Lagos State election. Interest of Global West to Nigerian general elections. I have realized that while we talk about violence, it's localized, and we fail to understand there are strategic interest of these nations in the general elections of African nations and democracy. So what do we do to stem such kind of invasion, interference, and on the outcomes of our elections?
All right, thank you. There is a question on electoral offenders. There is also this question around foreign interest. And when you say foreign interest, I heard you talk about... Oh, all right.
That's okay. Quickly,
thank you.
Let me join others to say thank you to KDI for the effort so far and FCDA. The truth is that while Dr. Mole was talking about a lady who had spent 5 years being electoral officer and all that, he looked only at the advantage without thinking about the disadvantage. Because if she's a local government staff, it means that there will be party influence, interest of people involved. As much as I agree that it will help in the flow, I also think that it will be easy to influence elections without blink.
All right.
Then, quickly, we want to solve the issue of election malpractice, violence. 3 institutions the government of Nigeria deliberately must look into, whether in the area of funding, re-energizing, or whatever. It's policing. The police, because it's the lead agency in election, and then the INEC itself. Because if you're going to talk about rigging, it starts from this two. And then the judiciary. Because when people are penalized for their actions, I'm sure it will serve as a deterrent. Other persons will not be involved next time.
That's right.
And then when you talk about general concept, it's clear that INEC is a major actor and a major factor in any election, that if you want it to be credible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. I think I have no other option. I apologize. I didn't actually see your hand.
No problem. Thank you very much. I am Deputy Commandant of Corps Yusuf Oduayo from Ondo State Command. I want to just make a brief comment from 3 different angles. Number 1, from the legal framework. The other one from the operational angle, and also from value orientation, just like it has been said. People have talked here for and against the need to look at the Electoral Act. I want to say that if people commit crime and they look at the consequence or the things they are going to, the punishment, and if it's nothing compared to what they stand to benefit, then what's the point? Looking at the Electoral Act, somebody who gets involved in vote buying will pay 500,000 or 12 months imprisonment, option of fine. So you will know that it's better for him to do that. So I think looking at that is very important. Then also security leadership. I want to, because in Ondo State, I believe that what really helped us is the fact that the Commissioner of Police then, now is AIG, he provided very excellent security leadership for all the security agencies. He made mention of something at that time, that even the fire service, that they were also co-opted, they gave their own inputs. Everybody has a role to play. When it talks about leadership is a teamwork. Everybody doing his own part, to ensure that we have overall success. So I think going forward, even beyond election security, even national security, security leadership is very, very key. And also, in the area of value orientation, I believe that we all have a part to play. You understand? Every one of us. We shouldn't leave it to National Orientation Agency. A lot of people say, okay, the INEC, they have a training or whatever. Everybody has a role to play to let the people know. Even security agencies, let's go on here, begin to tell people, because it's going to reduce our burden. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I have no other option than to just come back to the panel. Just in few seconds, if we can just answer some of this. There are questions on electoral offenses. Madam Mene, there is a question around also foreign interference that has to do with other governors coming in for elections to support in that same elections. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to weigh in on what Dr. Charles, I guess, said, Dr. Steve, sorry, about prosecution of electoral offenders vis-a-vis those who are being prosecuted and those who are on who sponsored them. You see, let us look at it from Section 7 of the Criminal Code, who are parties to an offense. The person who actually carried out the act or omission that constitutes that offense. There are people who sponsored. But if the man who carried out the act or mission itself did not mention, possibly or probably because of oath that had been taken, the prosecuting agencies have nothing they can do. You can only speculate that yes, Mr. A or Mr. B sent him to go and do what he has done. So in that area, I want to suggest that this electoral or voter education should be embedded into our school curriculum, so that right from the background, you catch them young. It forms part of their life, and it will be better for us as a nation. Then there was, okay, I think let me stop at this.
Thank you so much. CP, any addendum?
I just have to add that, all that we are saying, we all know the problems. It's not as if we don't know the problems. And then like Dr. Charles Omole, mentioned, we need a value reorientation. We have to understand the fact that we all have to contribute our own quota to ensure that we have a credible election. It's not just mention the problems. I mean, they're obvious. And so we have to sit down and see how we can reorientate our people from the family level to the society, to the school, as my senior colleague mentioned, so that there will be a change in the system. The human beings are the same. Just the process from what we are, made to understanding from the lecture. And we are still the same people. So we need to do a lot of, reorientation.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Mene, your intervention and your final take.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I want to commend the Nigerian Police Force. There are some things that are still lacking. We can do more. But I want to say well done. There is so much. Have the soul of Nigeria. Patriotism is what we are seeking. It's not whether like the comment made by somebody who had witnessed 5 elections and is still going. The sense of patriotism, even if you are from the same local government and you are working where you are, be a Nigerian, be a patriotic Nigerian. It doesn't matter where you find yourself. You can be in the civil defense, in the police, in the army. Who you are, do you seek to be the Nigerian? Who is the Nigerian? This is the highest office of the land. That is your country. We need to be able to do that. In one of the questions that you pointed out of those who are intruding, whenever there is election, you find even the president going to a state. It's not just about foreign governors coming in. The parties organize and they come on down. What we are seeking for from the civil society is overburdened. The society is also overburdened by INEC itself. INEC is a burden in Nigeria. If you are an umpire, what you need to do is to be able to do the umpiring. But what I mean is that elections are supposed to be conducted and declared by INEC. Not telling you to go to court because you are paid to do the job. And money is voted for them to have gone through that process. But what we have done is to brutalize the courts. Any case, you can imagine somebody who is number 4 in terms of the election voting, number 4, and you declare number 4, to be the successful candidate. Somebody who is not voted. And so what we are doing in Nigeria is we are calling for a reassessment and reflection. Nigeria is going down. Nigerians are picking from the dustbin because of bad governance. And the only way that we think is a peaceful exchange, and that's through elections. And so the police is not the only one. The meetings that you normally organize before the elections, the interagency with the civil society and all the security agents before the election is very, very important. And we have done that in some of the elections. The last one was not. Be open to citizens because what we want is a better Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Madam NLB. Thank you so much, the AIG. Thank you, the CP. Please, a round of applause for my panelists. I think it's a very good note to end this. No matter how sweet the meal is, we need to actually pack the plates, right? So at this point, I need to draw the curtain of this conversation. But right before I go, and I think I need to anchor this conversation on this part, that no matter what we are doing,
what matters is actually us as a people, right? I think that's all of this. But a suggestion, AIG, you're on seat today. One of the recommendations of this report actually says that the citizens are open to actually collaborate with the security agencies. And one of the things that is very important is the fact that maybe sometimes in the ICS meeting, civil society can be invited to make presentation on their own view of the pre-election environment. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I will want to snap with my panelists. Thank you.
Madam, come to the middle.
All right, there is another avenue. All right, thank you, Sano.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause to our panelists. We to the end of this meeting today, and I'd just like to say before I call forth or call up here our distinguished dignitaries that will help and support us while we unveil this beautiful report, I'd like us to keep something at the back of our mind. There's a saying by Desmond Tutu that if you want peace, you do not talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies. And that is going to be part of what you're going to read in this report, right? Congratulations to KDI for this impactful report on the Edo and Ondo 2024 elections. It's going to be a valuable tool for fostering safer, more credible polls and strengthening democracy in Nigeria. I hope that everyone who lays their hand on a copy is able to read it and learn one or two things, and also come up with some recommendations that we may have not mentioned in the report. So thank you everyone for being here. I would like to call Dr. Matthew, AIG, CP, KBAC, Madam Ene, the representative from NSCDC HQ, and also the Edo SP chairman to please join us as we unveil the report. Mr. Charles.
Val and Charles, please kindly join us too. Thank you. Where is Father Bakindo? Please, by executive order, tell him to come. All right, thank you so much. We are so happy with the what we've been, Prof. and Father Bakindo, I just signed the executive order to pause your movement for 90 days. Thank you. So thank you so much. I want to say thank you. It's a whole lot of work done to. I want to thank the Peace Committee. I want to thank Commissioner of Police Commissioner of Police and AIG. They both work on that election during that time, and they opened their door, interacting with us. And then the civil defense, if you look at the reports, we have a whole delegation. I remember you are there from civil defense and into our data room, and the collaboration was so great. And at the same time, just permit me, we can't thank these gentlemen enough for technical support. They didn't just say, they also supported us. Anytime we call them, they pick our call, offer advice and clarity in the area we need it. I'm talking about Dr. Matthew, Charles, and Val. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for what you have done and supporting these. Father Bakindo, thank you so much. And Prof, we can't thank you enough. You've given us another assignment, so we have to look at that again and look if probably the issue have been the messaging or else. Thank you very much. And I think, so I'm just going to open this and then we pick the report and then just take the picture. We thank you so much. Okay, so please, can you hold the, so.
And done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So.
Please, I want to seize this opportunity on behalf of every one of us here to thank KDI. But I want to tell Mr. Olaido to please get email of everybody. This is the only way you can get feedback, so that when we read this thing, we can actually put in some more information, and then we'll continue the dialogue there. You are doing good work, and God bless you real good. I want to thank everybody for coming, and half of the traditional setting, Eshe Gonyo. God bless you real good.
Thank you, Kabiesi.
Please.
Thank you, everyone. We have, KDI has prepared a very light refreshment outside. So please just ensure you have something before you leave.
Somewhere, right?
Yes, I can't remember how we
World Bank. Did you anchor an event before?
No, we haven't.
Here, Kaduna. I need a copy of the reports from Athena.
They're already sharing it out, so they'll give you one. Sir?
Care Kacha?
Yes.
Jabba.
How's everything?
Fine.
What happened now? We didn't hear from you again.
No,
you said you are planning something for the state.
Yes, we are coming.
So when I heard your name, I said, how come they